We're back with more Toei Super Robot awesomeness, and this time, instead of jumping straight to Great Mazinger, I thought it'd be fun to take a little bit of a detour into the world's second Super Robot anime, Gay Porn, Getter Robo. Getter and Mazinger have always been intertwined, since Getter's existence was in response to Mazinger's popularity. The series would be spearheaded by Ken Ishikawa, who was Mazinger creator Go Nagai's best friend and ex-assistant. Nagai would help develop some designs and concepts for the series, but generally speaking, Ishikawa's the father of Getter Robo, not Go Nagai. You would be surprised how often that needs to be clarified. But if they were going to be doing another Super Robot series, it needed to be different from Mazinger. But different how? Nagai thought as he gazed out into the distance. Then boom! A moment of inspiration. A car accident took place before him. The cars were literally piling on top of each other, almost like they were gonna combine. That was it. That was the gimmick. Getter Robo invented mecha combinations, all from a random car crash. I seriously hope nobody got super injured or died in that accident. Imagine knowing your death led to the Gatai sequence. But yeah, while Getter might have not reached Mazinger's level of success, it was still influential in its own right, with even Hideki Anno, the creator of characters, referencing Getter's manga as sort of a bible to him. But we aren't talking about the manga today, we're talking about the Toei anime. And boy, despite being made at the same time, it is a complete night and day difference. It's not like Mazinger, where both versions had relatively similar tones, just different characterization quirks. It's more like Devilman, where the anime is just a basic children's show, and the manga is the most fucked up violent thing you've seen in your life. The big thing with Getter's manga is that the three most deranged guys ever are forced to pilot this giant death machine, and they miraculously grow a bond throughout. It was Mazinger's edgy brother, and it was pretty awesome for that. But the anime, it's just some guys punching dinosaurs to save the day. They're not ripping the heads off a dog's hair. But you know what, I'm not gonna shit on it for not being like the manga, cause while I do think the manga is far superior, they're going for very different things, therefore I think it's best to judge Toei Getter on its own merits. Underneath the earth hid evil humanoid dinosaurs trying to overthrow humanity as Earth's dominant species, using giant robots of course. And that's about as deep as the dinosaur empire gets, which is kind of weird, because even Mazinger had Dr. Hell's backstory with the Mycenians and shit, but fine, whatever, there's evil dinosaurs with big robots. In order to combat these dinosaurs, the government funded a man by the name of Dr. Saotome to construct a weapon known as the Getter Robo. The Getter Robo was fueled by these magic space rays called Getter Rays, and they do all sorts of crazy evolutionary shit in the manga, but here they're basically just an energy source. As I mentioned before, Getter's big thing is the transformation and combination gimmick, requiring 3 pilots to take control of each form. There's the well-rounded Getter 1, the fast Getter 2, and the tanky Getter 3. Each one specialized in fighting in the sky, the land, and the sea, respectively. Which is one of the few anime additions that I like, cause in the manga, Getter 3 didn't really have anything to do with the sea. But what I don't like is how the pilots can just be literally anyone. In the manga, you needed these unhinged guys who were able to synchronize with the unpredictable nature of the Getter Rays. But here, Saotome just gets random guys, including his son, Tatsuhito. While testing a prototype version of the Getter, a general of the dinosaur empire named Emperor Gore would send in one of his own robots called a Mechasaurus to destroy it. This tragedy was seen by his sister Michiru and one of the students he was coaching, Ryoma Nagare. Michiru would step in to fight the Mechasaurus in her jet called the Command Machine, while Ryoma raced back to school to find other candidates for the finished version of the Getter Robo. These candidates being the leader of the judo club, Musashi Tomoe, and the cool lone wolf Hayato Jin. I'd say this first episode does a good job establishing their personalities. Ryoma's your typical hot-blooded, good guy, Toei McGee protagonist, rides a motorcycle and shit. Musashi is the lovable comedic relief, and Hayato is just chill as fuck. Which, again, is pretty funny given the manga depicts them as these scary-ass guys who have no qualms just ripping their enemies to shreds. But the first battle, Musashi is crying like a baby because he's afraid of reptiles, which is why Hayato throws him in the reptile room in the next episode. But yeah, this show goes pretty much how you'd expect. The episode starts with one of the pilots having some sort of problem. It leads to them losing against the dinosaur of the week. They resolve that problem, then they beat the dinosaur. The general format is similar to Mazinger's, but the execution of it all is what differentiates it. Like the action, for instance. While Mazinger's action just consisted of Sayaka and Boss getting their asses handed to them until Koji comes in to save the day, the getter requiring the 3 pilots to control the same machine helped put them all on equal footing. Hayato and Musashi get to shine just as much as Ryoma, if not more. And while each individual getter form might not have as many moves as the Mazinger, the form changing more than makes up for that. Getter's fight scenes are typically more terrain-based than moveset-based, which I find more exciting. Getter 1 flies, shoots Getter beams, and uses a tomahawk. Getter 2 is really agile and uses a drill to burrow underground. And Getter 3 is just picking up enemies and slamming them around, and as I said before, it has underwater traversal. I also wanted to give a special shout out to my favorite move, Getter Jump. It is literally just a jump, there's nothing getter about it, Ryoma's just making up shit. Michiru also takes to the field, and while she's obviously not doing as much damage as the other 3, she's at least not complete fodder like Sayaka was. Her missiles actually do damage, and she helps deploy energy to the getter. So yeah, the action is generally better, however, I can't really say the same about the rest of this show. Not only is this show's slice of life stuff not given as much screen time as Mazinger, but all of it just kind of feels bland. I just find these characters a lot less fun to watch. They feel so sanitized, a lot more than Mazinger's cast ever did. Like, you got Ryoma, who's just the main guy. That's all there really is to him. He's cool, and he's nice. Like, sure, Koji pissed me off at times, being the literal king of misogyny, but it was that cruelness that sort of made him fun to watch. Like, I kinda got a kick out of seeing how low he'd go. It not only made for a fun watching experience, but it made for a good YouTube video experience. I can't think of a single funny Ryoma moment to share with you guys. He's literally just a guy. Then you got Musashi, who was specifically designed for the anime, cause Ishikawa originally planned on making Professor Saotome the pilot of Getter 3. And while that would have been interesting to see, I do love Musashi. I'm glad he exists most of the time. Look, I'm not trying to be mean here, but Toei was trying to recapture the popularity of Boss, and it really shows. I feel like Musashi got more screen time than Ryoma and Hayato combined, and he never really brought anything new to the table. His big shtick is that he's a coward who has to overcome his fears, over and over and over again. I feel like he just never stopped crying or whining, and it low-key got a bit annoying at times. Like, I love Musashi in any other Getter rendition, but he feels like a bit much here. Like, it's called moderation, guys. This ain't the Musashi show. But hey, at least he's not Monji. Oh my fucking god, Monji. What a goddamn abhorrent character. There is a reason he has never appeared in any other Getter adaptation. He is completely insufferable. He is a boss clone in a show that already has a boss clone. Toei had boss fever, and none of them are as cool as the original boss. But like, Musashi, he at least had its moments, but Monji, he doesn't have a single moment. He's got nothing. He just sits around with this robot guy and this child in their workshop, and they add nothing to the plot. I thought he was gonna be some one-off character, but he wouldn't go away. He had like 5 episodes in a row dedicated entirely to him. That is nearly 10% of the show dedicated to Monji. Like, sure, he sometimes helps the Getter team with his super Monji cannon or whatever, but that's a complete afterthought. He single-handedly drags the show down by a point in my book. Fuck you, Monji. You're never gonna reach the levels of Boss in his iconic Boss Borat. You are a disease, a parasite. But fine, whatever, let's look at the other characters. We got Saotome, who's just the generic nice scientist. I really wish they kept his whole mad scientist shtick from the manga, it was a lot more interesting. There's Genki, Michiru's little brother, who's just a child. He's literally no different from Shiro. They even give him one of those weirdly sad episodes where his classmate has like a heart condition and she's gonna die or something. Toei had it out for 10-year-olds in the 70s. I don't know what was going on. And there's Michiru, who doesn't get treated nearly as poorly as Sayaka, probably because she's way less prominent, which I guess does suck in its own way, but honestly, I'd rather her chill in the back and provide support than actively get shit on in the front lines. Honestly though, they should have given those Monji episodes to her. I think she's pretty cool. As for the villains, we have Emperor Gore, who's pretty boring. He doesn't have half the charisma of Baron Ashura, and that's really it. He's the only one I can think of. Because unlike Mazinger, which had a lot of long-term generals, this show prefers to cycle through one-off villains every week. There's some guys who stood out, like the one guy who really didn't want to fight, showing that not all dinosaurs were bad, which kind of makes you raise an eyebrow when they're like, we gotta kill all the dinosaurs. But yeah, aside from Gore, there's no one who really sticks around. I think there's like some like general guys, but they don't do anything. I don't remember their names. And there's a general guy above Gore who I just got nothing to say. They're all like, yeah, we're going to destroy the world. The villain lineup is just kind of boring. Functional, but boring. Gee, Starlight, aren't you forgetting someone? Oh yeah, how could I forget this show's best character, Hayato? See, unlike the other characters in this show, Hayato doesn't really have a Mazinger counterpart. He's just like some mysterious cryptid that spawned and he perpetually hits the DreamWorks smirk. And honestly, he's this show's saving grace. Something about him is just really funny to me. His whole personality can be defined in one word: chill. No matter how bad the situation is, he just sits there and plays his stupid harmonica, much to the dismay of those around him. Usually the Hayato-centric episodes are the most memorable ones, cause it's just him rage-baiting Ryoma or Musashi for 22 minutes straight. Like the time he thought Ryoma was a shitty leader, so they just throw hands, or the time he straight up ditched a mission and told Musashi, yeah bro, I just felt like going on a walk. He almost casually killed a guy with a soccer ball while doing his smirk, and honestly, that's probably the most Getter manga-esque thing that somehow slipped into the series. I kinda love it. Hello Starlighters, I'm Starlight. And I'm Meadlerats. And welcome back to Random Facts and Trivia we couldn't quite fit into the main video. And for today's segment, we're talking about the Getter Robo toys. The only toy I want is the Shadow the Hedgehog ice cream bar plush. But they never made a Shadow ice cream. Just shut up and talk about Getter. Right, so as you all know, Getter has its transformation and combination gimmick, something that was deemed a complete nightmare for toy production companies. Even though the manga showcased a seemingly smooth transition, it was pretty impractical to apply to a real-life toy. And the anime's combinations weren't even really combinations, they sorta just melted into each other. Well, they found some ways to make it work these days, usually involving some part swapping. Back then, it was a complete no-go, instead just opting to make 3 separate figures for each getter form. Talk about pathetic. I know I could have figured it out day 1. Wait, seriously? Then why don't we try it now? What? Try what? Super Starlight Combine! While I think this show is less funny than Mazinger, I'd say it has an edge when it comes to the more dramatic stuff. Like, the Dinosaur Empire, they can be real bastards at times, like gaslighting Ryoma into thinking his dead sister came back, promising to cure a girl's brain tumor if she tricks the Getter team, and then assassinating her once she refuses, or leaving a baby on Saotome's doorstep, letting him raise her as his own, and then forcing her to kill them in a cool pink Getter Robo called the Getter Queen. And you know what, that right there, that might have been my favorite episode, and it's a concept I'd love to see revisited in a future Getter adaptation. Like Miyuki/Gora being the biological daughter of Gore and the adoptive daughter of Saotome, and having to choose between her humanity or dinosaur lineage. It's an interesting conflict. It kind of reminds me of Kamui from Getter Arc. And it also makes me raise another eyebrow when they're like, yes, we gotta kill all the Dinosaur Empire! Like, I'm sure some of them are chill people. But yeah, the characters in this series actually having a filter works in its favor during the dramatic moments. It's not like Mazinger, where Koji will murder a literal child before Shiro's eyes and then tell him to get over it. And this show's ability to confront tragedy is put to the ultimate test in its final episode, The Day of Destruction. This episode has the Getter face off against Emperor Gore's massive fortress, and you know what? It actually loses. The Getter machines just go up in flames, explode, and they're forced to jump ship. And I know what you're thinking, oh, so it's just another sequel bait episode where the Great Getter Robo shows up to save the day, but surprisingly no, not really. Like, there is still some sequel bait at the end with these alien guys coming down, but the way they beat Gore himself was pretty damn shocking. With the Getter and Ryoma both out of commission, Michiru goes to stop Gore herself, but Musashi, being the complete simp and good pal that he is, knocks her out and hijacks the command machine himself. Leaving behind his sword and helmet, he makes one last stand against the Dinosaur Empire, by literally kamikazing right into the core of their base, killing the entire army and himself in the process. Like, holy shit, they for real killed off Musashi, their goofy comedic relief. Apparently this stemmed from the writers growing tired of writing the same old story about the Getter punching dinosaurs and saving the day. They wanted to show kids that sometimes in life, you can't just Getter beam through all your problems. They actually originally wanted to kill Ryoma, but that was seen as a step too far by the executives, especially since they already had a sequel planned. And with us already having another boss clone right there, well, Musashi was sadly the most disposable one. And no, don't worry, Monji is not his replacement in the next series, thank fucking god. But yeah, while it wasn't exactly what they intended, I think Musashi's death honestly hurts way more than Ryoma's would've. Not only because he's a more likable character who is given way more screen time, but because he's the goofy boss clone who could seemingly power through everything. Boss and his bosslings are well known for being able to tank the most absurd shit via Toon Force, so seeing one actually die was probably really shocking. This could probably be considered the first major death in a mecha anime, unless you're some huge Professor Mori fan. What the fuck was Mazinger cooking with that? But yeah, while I would have liked it to have been presented a bit more dramatically, the ending's a bit abrupt and all, like maybe put an insert song or a funeral or something, the fact it happened at all was shocking enough. That was a huge step forward for the mecha genre that can't go unnoticed. So yeah, that was Toei Getter Robo. I didn't really like it, which I know it sucks to say given how much I love the rest of this franchise, but Toei Getter Robo is just not it. Maybe I'm just jaded after 92 episodes of Toei Mazinger and now 51 episodes of this, but I don't know, man. I could count the amount of standout episodes on my hands. Like, the Texas Mac one. God, I fucking love Texas Mac. This is what they think of Americans, and it fucking rules. But yeah, no, Toei Getter Robo is just kind of painfully bland. Like, it's not as ironically funny as Mazinger was, but it also doesn't have enough unironically great stuff to compensate. It's just perfectly middle of the road, like the definition of a 5 out of 10. If you're a Getter fan, there's some episodes worth checking out, but if you're looking to get into the series, just read the damn manga. I can't understate how different these two works are. The Getter Robo manga is genuinely one of the best mecha stories ever told, especially in Getter Robo Go onwards. Well, the Getter Robo anime is just another mecha anime. An influential and important one for sure, but there's no reason to go back and watch it these days beyond curiosity or nostalgia. It doesn't have that unhinged nature that made Mazinger at least somewhat interesting. It's why this video is shorter. I just feel nothing towards it. And you know what, let's go back to the god of all anime, Hideki Anno. I think he put it best. The TV version, it wasn't it. I was watching, but at the same time, I was in CM2, and me and my friends had the impression that it was for little kids, and that they were taking us a bit for idiots. And there you have it, Moyoko Anno's husband himself has spoken. This show is baby Mickey Mouse slop. Now let me go watch something that isn't a damn Toei Super Robot series for once. I'm gonna go on spin.mo or something, Jesus Christ. Get!